Hello and welcome back to our quest system series. Previously, we've been setting up the different types of objectives that you could complete as part of a quest. Now, there's one more type to complete, and that is a collection-based objective. This is when we collect items from inventory, and that ticks off an objective. Now, we won't be going through the whole process of creating inventory. I have plenty of videos about that, so do check those out and use this same method in there if you like. So, let's get started. So the last objective type to put in here is the inventory based objective. Now this one's a little bit different from the rest in that what we'll be doing is when we pick up an item or drop an item, we need to reread what items we've got in our inventory. So what we're going to do is first of all set up a basic inventory system. Now I've got a full series of videos about creating your own inventory system. So if you want to make one, by all means follow that. But right now, I want to make a very simple, basic one, just so you can see it for testing purposes, how to get our quest system and our inventory system working together. So let's go ahead and create that very basic one. So we'll start off by creating the actor component. And this is going to be our inventory component. And open that up. And the variable for this is going to have the content be a map of names, which refer to the item names, and the value being an integer, referring to the quantity. And in my functions, I'm only going to do an add to inventory. And add to inventory, going to take in a name variable for the item and a quantity value as an integer, like so. And so we're going to drag out our quantity map, our content map, sorry, and do find, plug in the item, and then we're going to add to the map. When we do add to the map, it replaces the current value. So we need to first of all add the quantity and the found value together. Like so, and the item is there. Now, when we are adding items to inventory, this is when we want to call out the objective has been done. So if we go back to our characters that we were killing, the target dummies, and look at their code, we can see what we've done here. We've done the get player character casting, and then we called the objective ID called. We're just going to copy this and go to our inventory component and put it on here. And the objective ID in this case won't be a string, but will be the item coming from the name here. So I'm going to search for item and scroll down. There's the variable. I'm just going to plug that straight into objective ID and it'll convert it for me. So I'm going to use the item name because our item names will be unique anyway. They have to be. So it's a good way to do it. So if you want the item names to be used as objectives, that would be the way to do it. Okay, so that will do there. Next, let's go to our player character and add that to our character. So add inventory component, compile, and save that and close it. Now we're done with that. We can go to our quest. So go to our quest system, our quest base. And on our quest base, we've got an objective ID heard. Now, currently, this is just incrementing a value. Okay, so it's just going up by 1, which is no good when we're doing things with inventory. Because we may empty a chest, for example, and add 10 of a certain item to our inventory, which is obviously no good because we want it to increase by 10, not by 1. Likewise, when we drop items, we want that number to go down, not up. So how do we accomplish this? Well, at the moment, we are adding 1 to it with a static constant value here. So what I'm going to do is going to make it a variable on our function. So let's go to our function and add the variable for value. And this will be an integer. And we're going to set its default value to 1. So we open up the value arrow key here to show its default value, and you type in 1. Now, when you hit compile, you're going to get an error. And that's because we changed something called a signature. So each function has a signature based on like which parameters does it have and require. So because we changed it, it's had a knock-on effect to everything else. So we've got to go through and fix that. But before we do that, let's just plug our value into our plus value here and do get value. Okay, so compiling that is fine, but we're going to get the error of the create event doing this. So we go to create event. Now you can see here we've got the issue when my player character on objective ID called does no longer match on objective ID heard. So let's go over to our player character and go to the event dispatcher on objective ID called, and we need to add an integer to this one. Now it has to have the same name and the type. So this would be a value and it would be an integer. And you can see here, when I compile this, it's there, but we want to set this default value to 1. So we'd have to go replacing it absolutely everywhere. And it should come through as 1. We'll double check. If not, type it in 1. There you go. So we interact with something, 1. Now we've got that. If we go back to our quest base and hit compile, that should now allow that to happen. If it doesn't, just double check your spelling, making sure the signatures match there. So now when we are calling on objective ID, we are now sending over a value. So for example, if I go to target dummy, go to here, you can see the value here set to 1. Annoyingly, change it to 1, 0 to 1 there. We're going to check the location type as well. And it should be all right once you do it, like once you add it in afterwards. Double check, because I made the default value there. So, nope. Do it again. Call on objective ID called. No, why is it not sending a default value? Let's double check that. Or was that just a bug? Objective called default value 1. Yeah, it's just ignoring it. Okay, fine, no problem. We just have to type it in manually each time. Okay. And we'll go over to the strange object. And, oh, in this case, it's just interacting with it, and that's going to be on the player, isn't it? I think I've already done that one. Yeah, I did. Cool. Okay, so now we've got those. Now we need to add our items to our inventory. So let's make a quick item that we can pick up. We're going to go into our blueprint class, and we'll call this one test item. And in here, we're going to add a simple sphere. That'll do. Just change the size of it. Make 5. And I'll set it to be overlap all. So I'm just going to walk through it and it should pick it up. So in here, we need to know what item we want to pick up. So on that to begin overlap, we're going to do equals to, actually no, let's cast to our player. We need their thing anyway. So cast to first person character. And then from there, we want to get the inventory component. And then add to inventory. Okay, and there is our item name there. So I'm going to do test item. And the value is going to be 1. And then we'll destroy actor here. Hit compile and save that. So let's now add our item to the world. There it is. I'll drag out a couple more. Like so. And I'm also going to go to our quest and update our quest to have that objective on it now. So we've got those 3 objectives that we've done previously. We're going to another one. This one, the objective name is collect 3 test items. And we'll just copy that into there. And that'd be a collection type. Objective ID, this will be the item name, so test item. And quantity here we need is 3. Okay, save that and close that. So let's test this out. If we were to push play now and interact with our character and accept the quest, we've now got the quest there. And we see collect 3 test items. So pick up 1. And we can see still reading 0. Okay, so that won't working. So the reason why is if I go into my object and I pick it up and do add to inventory, I'm doing on call on objective ID called. I just missed this one out. So you have to make sure we put in 1 there. Okay. Right. So when I add an item to inventory, we're increasing that number by 1. Okay. In fact, actually, what we actually want to say is with the quantity, not value there. So do quantity. There we go. Righto. So if I go push play now, get the quest and double check it's there. Collect 3 test items, 0 out of 3, 1, 2, and I've got 2 items. And go get a third, and then just collect 3 test items. Okay, so let's go through one issue we're going to deal with. There's 2 actually we're going to deal with. The first one is this. Now, let's say we've got multiple of the items here. We still only need 3. So, as you can see here, still only need 3 items. So, let's pick up 3 items. 1, 2, 3. And I've now got 3 items completed. Now, when I push the drop key, I've still dropped 1. So, I've only got 2 items in my inventory. But my quest will still say that I've got 3. We need it to update completed objectives in order for this to react to this as well. So completed objectives are no longer red. We need to make sure that is different for this in this case. So that when we complete them, we can uncomplete them if we were to drop the items that we need. So let's say, for example, we need a key item. If we drop that key item, we don't want it to be able to complete the objective. So if we go back to our quest object, quest base, and we go to the objective, on objective ID heard, and we're going to do it is objective complete. So when it's objective complete, what this is doing is just reading values and then creating the notification, adding it to viewport. Cool. But the problem we want to fix here is that when we are doing objective ID heard, at the start here, we are looking if the quantity here is less than the found value, which we don't really want to do anymore. Okay, we're saying like if we've got our quantity in there, we want it to be updated. Okay, so we want to update it when we lose items, but not when we are picking up any more. So the reason why we had this in the first place was say we killed 2 enemies, but we require 1 enemy. You're going to see that notification pop up twice, which we don't really want to happen. So we only want it to pop up if the objective being completed was less than it needed to be. But the value was never updated beforehand. So what we need to do is tell the value here to update and change based upon that one there. So what we need to do is at the start of this is determine whether or not the value being added is a positive or negative value. If it's negative, we don't want to do this. We want to just take away from the value. So on objective ID heard, we need to just make a little space here. And I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. So rather than dragging lines all over the place here, I'm just going to do objective ID. It saves me just copying lines going right across there. I can just do that. There we go. It's a little bit nicer. Okay, so the value here, we want to sign the value. So when we do sign the value, it's just going to give us -1 or 1 based upon whether it's positive or negative, or 0 if it's 0. And what we're going to say is if this is less than, oh, sorry, if we say if it's greater than 0, we want it to do what we previously have set up. So that will go across and act like normal. But if it's not, then we want to adjust the objective. Okay, so we're going to take this bit, the add bit, going over here, and put that down here. And drag that down into false. So the objective being added here is going to be looking at the value being changed. And we're going to be looking at the found value, which is this bit here. I'll copy that. And we're going to add value to this one. So do add, search for value, and plug that into there. Okay, and then we'll just put a return node in, like so. So if we are diminishing the value of the objective count, it will still register it and change the value, which then would make it go under again, which would then trigger this off again and make it go through those paces again. So let's put that in testing. So I go pick up the quest, complete that objective, 1, 2, 3. Okay, you can see there 3. Let's say I drop 1. We're now got back down to 2, and it's no longer complete, which means I can go back, collect another 1, and it will collect and complete again. I can drop all 3 of them, 1, 2, 3. So now I've got 0, and I can go back through and collect the items again. Okay, so that's the first issue. The second issue we want to solve is when we've actually collected the items already. So let's collect 3 items, boom, 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 then get the quest. And logic says you would have this ticked off already as 3 out of 3. However, that's not the case. So we need to adjust this to look at the object, our inventory, as soon as we collect the quest. So let's go to our quest base, and we're going to go to the event graph and on to begin play. So when we pick up the quest, we need to update and check our content for any collected items already. So first of all, we need to know whether or not the objective we're looking at is a collection objective. So let's take out our quest stage details, break this open, and in there we've got objectives. I'm going to take this out and do a for each loop. And on the for each loop, we're going to take out this value here, break it open, get the details here. I'm going to check the type is equal to enum of collection. Hide the rest of those keys there, and then put that into a branch. So now we are only dealing with objectives that are collection-based objectives. So what we're going to do here is going to get my player character, and we are going then to get our inventory component, and we're going to get the content map. And we want to find this. Now, you may have on your inventory component, actually, let's do that. We may have a query inventory. Let's actually do that for ourselves. Let's go to our inventory component and make it, because you probably will have one, especially if you're following my stuff, and add query inventory. And that's going to ask for an item name. And all we're going to do here is drag out the content and do find. And return the value. Okay, so go back to our quest, and we're going to do in here and do query inventory. Plug that in, and we want to look for the objective ID. So we're going to open up the thing here, turn on objective ID, and plug that into the item there. And if that value is done, what we're going to do is we're going to drag out our function, where it is on objective ID heard. We call that out, plug that in there, and the value is going to go into value, and the objective ID is going to be the objective ID here. Now, the beauty of that means is that it's going to trigger notification and all sorts of things if we already do have those 3 items. So let's go test this out. If I go pick up 3 items, 1, 2, 3, and then go talk to our guy over here, accept the quest, you can see there I've already completed that objective. Excellent. All done. And they are our different types of quest objectives that you'd probably have in your game. And I say it should cover 99.9% of all objective types you're going to have and deal with within your game. And there we go. That is our 4th and final type of objective in the game now. And we've now can make 99.9% of all objectives that you see in video games. So what's next is, in the next episode, we're going to go through the process of saving our quest progress and quest data between loads of the game, and also when we're changing levels. You can watch the next episode right now over on patreon.com/Ryan Laley. You can find all my videos early from just $1 a month. A massive thank you to all of my patrons and YouTube members for their continued support. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye everyone.